Go for it.
the Amazon.
Go for it.
So, okay. So I found this article from The Guardian. I mean, there's been plenty of other articles on this. There's videos, everything probably you can think of about how the Amazon is going to, well, so the article's title is Tropical Forests Losing Their Ability to Absorb Carbon, Study Finds Amazon Could Turn into Source of CO2 in Atmosphere by Next Decade, research suggests. So essentially the tropical forest, like the Amazon rainforest, can't hold, it's not going to be, it can't act as a carbon sink is the word they used
Right.
anymore, coming next decade. And it's going to eventually produce, it's going to be a source of carbon. So once that happens, if it hasn't already, almost, over there, it's just another all hell is breaking loose.
And don't forget, Bolsonaro is not helping by cutting down the damn place.
No, so you're right. And like, he's making it worse in that administration that just got into office. I want to say 2018. I don't even know what. Probably has like a 5-year term. It's not
2018.
gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna change anytime soon. I mean, you have the international sphere that can put pressure on him, but I don't think he's gonna bend. I think the French president tried to do that, and Bolsonaro shot back with Twitter memes and stuff. So it's just like we're in that world at this point where it's like we are not taking seriously what's happening in the Amazon and the tropical. Well, like we know what's happening.
And the other thing is, when you cut down the trees, you burn the trees, that's all releases CO2. It's now, as you just said, it's no longer becoming a sink, which means the carbon is not being sequestered out of the system. Source is now it's being added to the system. Then go to the other end, how the permafrost is also thawing, and that's adding carbon to the system. So everywhere we turn around, from tropics to polar regions, we're just adding carbon to the system from the ground. That's doubly troubling. Couple that with what I talked about, how the warming oceans eventually will not be able to absorb any more CO2. They'll start to outgas CO2. So everywhere you turn around, CO2 is just being returned back into the atmosphere.
Plus human activity, but
yeah,
we're at that feedback loop. It's almost out of control at this point. And I believe sooner than later, I mean, they say 2030s, right? Like that's right around the corner. And it just goes back to your governments are seriously or making it worse. Capitalism, we can go down that road. It's just so much it's so much is happening, like you said. It's just like what do we do? I mean, it's almost numbing at this point.
I mean, I did a video a little while ago about positive feedback loops coming home to roost. I'm gonna have to probably update that video.
Yeah, you should really.
I mean, seriously, it's just like, holy crap, it's gotten worse. And I made that video just a short while ago, a couple months back.
I know, it's like all the news is accelerating. The data is everything is just being soaked up and record. It just keeps getting worse and worse. What else do I have? We talked about the impact. Well, not really. Well, we did talk a little bit. You mentioned it, the impact of cutting down the trees and using the Amazon forest for agriculture business, like cows and soybeans and stuff. And it's just no wonder the Amazon's changing. You're getting rid of it,
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. So no wonder it's turning into a carbon producer.
I mean, grasslands absorb less CO2 than forests do. That's just ecological fact. So if you cut down the forest and replace it with a grassland, less CO2 gets drawn out of the air. Not to mention what the cut down trees and the CO2 that's released from the cut down trees cause. So the overall net is more CO2 into the atmosphere.
We're at record CO2 levels in the atmosphere. And what, we're just going to keep pumping it in? Like, in a
Well,
way?
record record level, we need to
Oh,
look at that
right.
statement, because when you look
Sorry.
at the CO2 levels in the planet's history, I mean, all 4.5 billion years of it, this current CO2 levels are nowhere near as high as they've ever been.
Okay, good point. Sorry.
But it's at highest level for the last 2 million years.
You could say human history or human civilization.
Since the start
Um,
of the ice ages.
Okay. Oh, I'm writing my
So,
notes down on the IC.
I mean, if you scroll down, I did do a lengthy video about CO2 levels throughout Earth's history, and I kind of discuss how where there was certain spikes in the CO2, be it from outgassing or what have you, it led to mass extinctions. One of the reasons, like the Great Permian die-off and
Mm-hmm.
other things like that. I've got a video uh, talking about warming oceans leading to mass extinctions. So that, of course, is tied into the fact that there's more CO2 being inputted into the system. But yeah, if you have increased CO2 levels, that can lead to a mass extinction event. And then when you couple that with the rapidity of how fast the CO2 is being pumped in, and that it's happening so fast that organisms are not able to adapt because it's happening too fast for them to be able to adapt, that puts their physiology into stress, which then leads to deaths, and then that can lead to a whole extirpation of uh, species.
Right, which you could argue is happening now. You
Yeah,
mentioned the sixth mass extinction
yep.
event, which is linked to carbon and warming oceans. And
It's crazy.
um,